So this bike right here is the brand new Aventon Adventure 3. We're going to take it out on a test ride and go over some of the brand new features that come on this bike and really dive in to see if this 36 volt system is just as good or better than last year's Adventure 2's 48 volt system. All right, let's go ahead. Let's jump on this thing and get to know it a little bit better. So the first thing that I took notice on the Adventure 3 is that the frame on the down tube is quite a bit smaller than what it was on the Adventure 2. And a lot of this has to do with the 36 volt system that's built into this bike. And I really do think that that's going to play a big part in the overall feel of this bike while you go down the road. Now, granted, you'll have a motor that's going to push you along, but if you ever ran out of battery, having a fat tire bike, it's pretty heavy. So having a 36 volt system is going to lower the weight just slightly and probably make this bike a little bit easier to ride without the motor power. Now, pedaling this bike up this hill without any motor power is surprisingly easy, considering this is a fat tire bike. It's not going to be as easy as, say, a hybrid bike, but it's definitely significantly easier than what I remember past models and other fat tire bikes being. But once you get into the pedal assist level, this thing really starts to shine. The 36 volt motor, in my opinion, is pretty impressive. There's not very many brands out there that have produced an impressive 36 volt system, in my opinion. And I don't know anybody else that's putting a 36 volt system on a fat tire bike. Most of them are going to be 48 volt. Some of them are going to get upwards into like the 52 and 60 volt, but not a 36 volt. So Aventon is probably the first one in the industry to do this, and I think it's a pretty bold move. Now, if you've watched my reviews on other Aventon bikes this year, you'll know that they have what's called the ACU unit. And the ACU unit is the Aventon control unit, and that's going to allow you to do all kinds of different things with the bike. But one of the big things is Ride Tune. Ride Tune is going to give you the ability to actually be able to go in and customize each pedal assist level to your riding preferences. So if you want a little bit more power in, say, eco mode, you can do that. Or if you want a little bit more battery range in, say, turbo mode, you can do that too. But with the stock settings, I'm cruising along right around 9 miles an hour, just comfortably pedaling on eco mode. We'll go ahead and bump this up to sport. I'm going to shift into a little bit harder gear because we are dealing with a torque sensor. And whenever you're riding with a torque sensor, the more pressure that you put on your pedals, the faster the bike will kind of assist you. It'll produce more power. It's kind of a curve instead of it just being on or off. So in sport mode, comfortably pedaling, I'm getting up to 13 miles an hour. We're going to put this in turbo. Now, I haven't set this to a class 3 e-bike setting yet, but there is the capability of being able to do that, and we'll try that here in just a minute. But in turbo mode, without changing any of the settings, I'm looking at about 17 miles an hour. So this thing will get upwards of 20 in pedal assist. Let's go ahead and push on the pedals quite a bit more to really get that motor going. And we get up to right at that 20 mile an hour mark. We're going to go over here and I'm going to jump into the app, and I'm actually going to set that Ride Tune setting to where I can go into a class 3 mode. This bike is very maneuverable considering it's a fat tire bike. All right, we got it in turbo mode. Already a significant boost in power over the class 2 settings. And I'm just gonna give it all here, see what we can get up to. All right, so that didn't quite get to the 28 mile an hour mark, but that's okay because honestly, 25, 26 is what it showed on the screen. And it seems like a lot of times with the Aventon bikes, I do find that they don't quite get all the way up to that maximum speed. Usually it's about a mile to 2 miles an hour slower than what the claim max speed is in the app. And that seems pretty consistent across the board. But overall, I mean, I'm pretty pleased with the speed on this. There are other brands that do go a little bit faster than this one, but the build quality on the Aventon stuff, in my opinion, is really well worth it. And there is a huge difference in the power performance from changing that speed over to a class 3. Easily over 22, 23 miles an hour here with no issues whatsoever. And the bike feels very, very smooth. No complaints on maneuverability. The noise of the tires, they aren't very loud considering that they are knobby tires. This little hill climb is absolutely nothing for this bike. The 36 volt system performs really, really well. Now, right down here, this does have a built-in suspension seat post. And I let my father-in-law ride this bike, and his bike, he actually installed a suspension seat post on his Adventure 2. And this one comes with one. Whenever he rode this one, he said that this particular suspension seat post outperforms his aftermarket one. So I think Aventon did a really good job on picking out the suspension seat posts that they've been putting on a lot of their bikes this year, including this Adventure 3. Now, one thing I do want to ask of you guys, if you're enjoying this review and you're enjoying any of the reviews that I've done, click that subscribe button and just watch this video all the way through. The YouTube algorithm is really looking for videos that get a lot of watch time, and all that really helps. And I would greatly appreciate it. And one last thing, if you do decide to buy an Aventon bike like this Adventure 3, I would really appreciate it if you used my links down below. Those are affiliated. They're going to take you to the best possible price, and they don't cost you anything. It just helps out this channel with no extra cost to you. All right, back to the ride. Now, this does have a full Shimano drivetrain. This is a pretty standard drivetrain that we've seen across the board when it comes to Aventon bikes. You're going to have the Shimano thumb and trigger shifter up front on your handlebars, allowing you to shift through the gears really easily. And then down in the back, you are going to have your Altus rear derailleur that's going to shift through the 8 speeds on the 8-speed Shimano cassette. The shifting system on this is definitely a tried and true setup that they have used on several of their bikes, and it just works really, really well. Now, something that is pretty unique that they have changed on this is the crankset. The chain guards on this, and they're just partial chain guards. They give it a little bit different look. I think it's a little bit more modern and kind of a cool looking chain guard that they've got on this bike. This is the first one that I've seen them put this style on, and I'm really liking the way it looks. As far as function goes, it's just going to be a matter of time on whether or not this chain guard functions as good as the original one that they had on the Adventure 2. Now, as for the suspension on this, you do have a lockout right up here, so you can lock that out and then you won't get any suspension. But if you unlock it, you'll get full suspension. Now, taking a closer look at the cockpit up here, you are going to get some nice lock-on grips. These are a little bit different than some of the other models that I've seen come on Aventon bikes, but you get the traditional thumb throttle that we'll test out here in just a minute. You do get some hydraulic Tektro brakes, which these are some of my favorite brakes on the market right now. These have been coming on all of the Aventon bikes, and several other brands have been using the same Tektro brake. They always work really well. You do get your control pad over here, and on this control pad, you can access your menu by hitting the up and down arrow. We'll go over that here in just a little bit when we head back to the garage. Then you have a turn signal for your left and right turn signals. Nice thing about these turn signals is that they automatically turn off whenever you forget to turn them off manually. But you can also turn them off manually by just tapping the button again. You do get this nice Aventon screen. Now, we saw this one on the Level 3, and we've seen this one on the Adventure 2 in the past, and several of the other bikes. They didn't choose to go with their new screen. This is their bigger screen, and I like how they're kind of mix and matching the screens that they go with. So we have seen this one before in the past. But over on this side, this is where your Shimano shifter is, and then you've got your other Tektro brake, and then your lock-on grip. The geometry on this bike is a little bit different. It does feel like these handlebars are a little bit lower than what the Adventure 2 was. I feel like the stack height is changed a little bit on this. I haven't confirmed it, but the bike does feel a little bit more like I'm leaned a little bit more forward than what I was on the Adventure 2. But all in all, pretty impressed with how this bike feels overall. Now down here in the seat stay, you do get your lights. These are going to be your tail lights that are going to show up whenever you squeeze the brakes. So they do have cutoff switches, but they're also going to be your turn signals. Whenever you have your headlight on, these will glow at a kind of dim light. And then whenever you squeeze the brakes, they'll light up even more. One of the big features on all the new Aventon bikes is this weird looking disc down here. And this is coming on several other models like the Pace 4, and we also saw this on the Level 3. This is a lock. So if you want to lock your bike without having to actually have a physical bike lock, this has a lock built into it. Once we activate this, it will lock the bike, preventing this back wheel from spinning. I think this is an awesome feature that I would love to see other brands implement, because this makes it feel like if you put your bike outside, somebody can't just ride away with it. They're going to have to carry this bike. Nobody wants to carry a fat bike for very long. Now the bike is locked. As you can see, it's not allowing me to roll this even more than a couple of inches, maybe an inch at most. So once this is locked, you don't have to worry about people coming up and trying to steal your bike. Then once it's unlocked, you're good to go. That's pretty awesome. And while we're down here, this is the 36-volt motor, and I've got to say, I'm pretty impressed with it. Like, it doesn't look like a 36-volt motor. Most 36-volt motors in the past were really small and compact. This one looks just like a 48-volt motor, but it has only 36 volts. In my opinion, this is probably making this entire system a little bit lighter. I don't know the exact weight difference between what a 48-volt system would be and a 36. But I can tell you the battery size is significantly smaller, so I imagine other components and wiring are going to be a little bit smaller also. I want to go ahead and do a brake test to see how well these Tektro brakes stop this bigger bike overall. We've seen these Tektro brakes work really, really well on some of our other bikes, but how will it work with these large fat tires? I think they're going to do pretty good. I have really high faith in these Tektro brakes. So let's go ahead and we'll get this up to about 20 miles an hour, and then we're going to stop as soon as the pavement changes color up here and see how this goes. 20 miles an hour. Yep. That was actually the best braking that I've had out of any of the bikes that I've tested. These big tires really gripped the ground, and the Tektro brakes had no problem stopping me. So pretty impressed with this. Actually, I'm extremely impressed with this. These brakes, I just don't think you're going to get better brakes on an e-bike without going to a 4-piston setup. And honestly, how good these Tektro brakes are, there's no need for Aventon to ever go to a 4-piston setup on this particular bike. Very good job. Super impressed. Tektro brakes, as usual, do really well. Now let's go ahead and let's try out the throttle. This should only get us up to about 20 miles an hour. That's pretty much the limit that Aventon puts these at. And they like to stay within the limits of a true Class 3 bike. And that's exactly what they did. I'm hitting 20.5 miles an hour on the speedometer. Now, it's not GPS verified, but according to the display, it's hitting 20 miles an hour. So take it or leave it, that's what it shows. Now let's go ahead and head over to the big hill where I do all of my e-bike tests on. It's a 19% grade, and it's a little over 1/10 of a mile long. So it's a pretty long hill, really pushing these motors. And this being a 36-volt system, I think it's going to push it pretty hard. But so far, I've been really impressed with how this motor's been handling everything else. So I believe this one's probably going to do pretty good. But will it keep it above 10 miles an hour? That's the big challenge I have for all the bikes that I call good hill climbers. Let's go ahead, let's head over there. All right, so here's the 19% grade. Let's go ahead. I'm gonna put this on throttle only for right now, and then we're gonna kick into pedal assist right up here, and we'll see how quickly it switches over. It's pretty quick, less than a second, it switched over to pedal assist, which is nice to see. Very, very fast reacting. We're gonna get this up to speed. We are at 23 miles an hour. I do have a slight headwind, so a little bit of a disadvantage today to this bike. Shifting down, I'm in gear number 6 at this point. Got 5 more to downshift to. I'm gonna go ahead and shift down one more time. Right here is where it gets to be 19%, and this is what always gives bikes a hard time. And we're maintaining about 13 miles an hour, 12 miles an hour. See if it holds it at 12, and it's holding it at 12. This 36 volt system, I'm telling you, is impressive. If you have your doubts, don't. This thing's 36 volts, and it's got plenty of juice to pull up that 19% grade. Did better than a lot of 48 volt systems that I've reviewed in the past. I think Aventon knows what they're doing. One test that I haven't done for a while, and I don't do it on every bike just because this is such a big hill. Sometimes it's a little bit scary, if I'm honest with you. But we're gonna do the coast test on this. Got up to about 18 miles an hour, and we're gonna coast down this to see how quick this bike will actually go according to the speedometer. 32, 34, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 40 miles an hour. It feels so weird that a fat tire bike can just go 40 miles an hour and it not feel like anything. I mean, don't get me wrong, that's definitely fast. I would not want to lose control at that speed. But on thinner tire bikes, that feels a lot more sketchy. But on a fat tire bike, it's just stable. Fat tire bikes, they want to track straight, and the Aventure 3 is definitely one of those bikes. It just wants to track straight. Now, overall, after riding this for just a little while, I've got to say, the torque sensor on this one feels really good. It's really similar to the way the torque sensor felt on the Level 3, and pretty close to the way that it felt on the Pace 4. I imagine they're probably the exact same torque sensors, but sometimes they act a little bit different on each bike, and this one feels really spot on. I just have to say, my overall, just general thoughts of this bike, fat tire bikes are one of those type of things that you either really like them or you really don't. They are definitely heavier bikes when compared to, say, like the Level 3 or the Pace 4. And they're a little bit more cumbersome because the tires are so big. So a lot of times you get bikes that just don't have very good maneuverability, but this one feels very maneuverable. The step through frame just feels really good. Now you can get a step over if you're taller. I personally prefer the step through on fat tire bikes just because they're such big bikes. It's a little bit easier, especially if you have gear on the back, like pannier bags, or maybe a bag that you put all of your tools in. So whenever you go out on an adventure, if you have any issues, you can repair a flat. You don't have to throw your leg over the back seat. And being that these are such a kind of beefier bikes, it's nice to just be able to step through and get right on the bike. But I don't think at all does this feel like a fat tire bike whenever you're trying to turn it. It feels really close to what I would say just a hybrid bike would feel. But you get that awesome feeling of it just wanting to go straight and be very stable that you get with fat tire bikes. So very impressed with stability and maneuverability on this bike. But I do have to say, my favorite thing right now is the suspension seat posts. I am very, very pleased with the fact that they put suspension seat posts on so many of their bikes this year. And I'm very impressed with the quality of it. It really does make this bike more like a full suspension. I know it's not quite a full suspension, but you're also losing some of the complexity that you would get from a full suspension fat bike by just having a seat post that has a suspension built into it. And honestly, most people aren't going to be doing stuff that is rowdy enough to justify having a full suspension and the extra weight and complication that comes with it, having a seat post with the suspension built in, that's the way to go. The shifting on this bike has performed just as I would expect it to. I've used this particular setup a lot and never really have much issues with it. The nice thing is local bike shops can basically work on all the bike components on this particular bike. Whether that's the Shimano drivetrain or the Tektro hydraulic brakes. Those are pretty common things that if you did have an issue with them, a local bike shop should be able to help you out. And the other thing is that there are so many Aventon bike shops across the United States. There might be one near you. You can jump over to their website and you can look at where all the Aventon dealers are. And more than likely, I would say there's probably one within a few miles or within maybe 100 miles of you. It's pretty impressive how much Aventon has grown out across the country over the last several years and really tried to make their brand known to everybody in the bike industry and in the community that is looking for e-bikes. Let's go ahead and head back and let's talk about some of the things that I didn't talk about on this ride that this bike comes with, like the Aventon ACU, and maybe a few other things that I may have glossed over. All right, let's head back to the house. Let's go ahead and take a look at the menu system on this. To get into the menu system, you're simply going to hold the plus and minus button over here on the control pad. It'll take you into it. As you can see at the top, you can clear your trip. So every time you ride, if you like to see the new numbers appear on the display for each trip, you'll just go in here and clear your trip. This option right here will allow you to unlock your battery so you can take it in with you or take it inside and charge it. Then you've got your bike lock. This is what's going to lock that rear wheel to prevent it from moving. You're going to have display units, so if you want to switch between miles per hour and kilometers, you do that there. In your brightness menu, you're going to have up to 5 different settings, so you can change that depending on how you like your screen set up. Then you have your auto power off. This will be in minutes, so it comes default with 10 minutes. Then you're going to have your password, so not only can you have the hardware lock with the back wheel locking, you can also have a software lock preventing people from being able to actually power on this bike at all, making it even harder for them to steal and actually be able to do anything with. This right here is part of the ACU chip technology that they've got built in, similar to the bike lock that we saw up here and the battery lock system. There's no longer keys on the Aventon bikes, which is really nice. That ACU unit inside the bike actually takes care of all of that stuff, where before you would have to have a separate key. In here, it's all done through the computer, which makes it, in my opinion, very nice. Down here, this is something new. I don't believe was on other Aventon bikes, or I don't recall. You can see an error history screen. So if you have any problems with the bike, you should be able to go into here and see what errors you've received. And then you can actually report those over to Aventon. Looks like I don't have any errors on this bike, which is nice. Then you can go in here to system info. This will just give you some information about your particular bike. And then down here is the last option, and that's connected to the app. If you guys want to see the full setup on how the app actually works, over on my Pace 4 and Level 3 videos, I actually did a full review on how the app actually works. I'll put that link down below or up here on the screen, and you can see what this is like. And nice thing is once you learn it with one bike, it works the same on all bikes. So here's a good side profile look of this bike. Let me show you guys real quick how to remove this battery, what it looks like. The battery size on this is very nice. It's a 20 amp battery. Being that it's 36 volts, it's nice and small. It's got a nice little carrying handle on it, and it also has a battery indicator on it. And as you can see, it also has a charge port on the front, so you can charge this whenever you want inside the house or take it into your office with you if you're commuting to work. And being that it's a 36 volt, it's super lightweight. I'm really liking these smaller batteries that still pack a big punch. Now on this bike, you do get metal fenders, both front and back. You also get a rear rack back here. This bike is really well set up for commuting, for going into town to pick up some groceries, or just going on an adventure. The 4-inch tires are super supple, and they just grip like crazy, as you guys saw with the braking test. All right, guys, this is the Aventon Adventure 3. I think Aventon, again, knocked it out of the park. They're really killing it this year on all of their bikes. I've been super impressed. I love how all their bikes use the same 36-volt system. They use the same 36-volt battery, and they also come with things that are nice, like the suspension seat post, the bike security system with the ACU, and the ACU will also allow you to do tracking. So if you ever do lose this bike or somebody steals it, you'll be able to track it down and let authorities know. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below of the Aventon Adventure 3 or any of the other Aventon bikes. Again, if you want to pick yours up, links down below. I'd appreciate it if you use those. As always, click the subscribe button, click the like button, leave me a comment. But as always, guys, get out there and ride your e-bike.